Today, we've got back on the show somebody who knows all there is to know about freight forwarding, warehousing, and much more. And he's got some tips that could save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Black Box by Helium 10 houses the largest database of Amazon products and keywords in the world outside of Amazon itself. We have over 2 billion products and many millions more keywords from different Amazon marketplaces, from USA to Australia to Germany and more. Use our powerful filters to search through this database for pockets of opportunity that you might want to get into with your first or next product to sell on Amazon. For more information, go to h10.me/blackbox. Don't forget you can save 10% off for life on Helium 10 by using our special code SSP10. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed, organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And we've got, for the second time back on the show, Burak from Forsket. How's it going, man?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me again.
Now, where are you at right now? Are you in Miami or?
Yes, I'm in Miami after so many different Amazon events this year, January, February, March, finally back to Miami, and then a little bit enjoying the time and weather.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you back. We're not going to have you, we're not going to go too much into your backstory. Let me give everybody the podcast number that you were in before. So if you guys want to find out more about Burak's origin story, go to episode 324. So h10.me/324. Let's just hop right into it. Now we're in the middle almost of 2023. Kind of COVID is a thing of the past. Even China's opened up now again. But what are like the main kind of topics in the shipping industry? Have prices been pretty steady? Any predictions you have? What's going on here in 2023?
I think 2021, 2023, 2021 and 2022, we had so much conversation about shipping prices, the delay, the congestions, and so many people had really good sales numbers actually. So they brought lots of inventory in, and suddenly with inflation, things slowed down, right? So mainly last 2 years, we talked about the congestions in Los Angeles port. Some of the containers had to wait maybe 2-3 months until it was off the dock and then delivered to the destination. But recently, what we're talking about is mainly cash flow and inventory management, which is part of the supply chain, which is part of the international logistics, which is part of the successful Amazon sellers, because last 2 years we had so much money in the market, so people could go and borrow as much as money they want with a very low interest rate, and they brought lots of inventory. So since the sales is down, a lot of people cannot move the inventory, so they start liquidating. They try to get back some money, and then I think restructure so many different things. So I think shipping is now also in our company, we're trying to put everything like puzzles together, not only the international shipping, but now we have different layers like inventory management, international shipping, 3PL, and the last mile delivery to Amazon. So now it seems like getting more complicated, because it's not only about finding the cheap prices or trying to book in advance. Now it's about like how you manage your inventory and how you manage your money.
Okay, so now, it's been a couple months since that new inventory kind of system has gone live in Amazon, the one where you kind of like get a heads up as far as, when you're going to be out of space. That was one thing that I think a lot of Amazon sellers complained about the last couple of years, is they could go to sleep on Sunday and have maybe, 5,000 units of storage available. So, hey, all right, Monday, I'm going to go ahead and make my order or my inventory transfer order and send in. They wake up Monday morning and it's like, no, you are 10,000 units overstocked and you can't send any units in. So Amazon kind of like, all right, well, we'll give you more of a heads up. But at the same time, there's this new whole system where if it does seem like you're going to be out, you can do some bidding for extra space. Maybe you'll get money back. So it seems like it's a complicated thing. But, since you store a lot of product for, at your 3PLs for a lot of Amazon sellers, what can you say about how this has been affecting your customers, if at all?
Actually, you're right. It seems Amazon also thought maybe it's not really fair to, go to overnight, and then the next day you wake up and then you cannot even send. I mean, you have so much overstock. Some items are not selling well, but your best selling item is almost run out of inventory. So they are not. They don't used to go like single by like SKU by SKU. They are looking at your overall performance, but you might have some products has been sitting there a long time, and then you'll have like a really best one or two SKU running, so you had to liquidate or you had to take it back that the inventory is not selling, so it started to cost you a lot of money. So that's why I think last 6 months to 1 year, whenever we go to the events, I mean, you also do lots of in-person events, like big events like Prosper. Now we are going to meet actually next week in Irvine for the Elite Workshop. So many companies, they had confusion, but right now it's even kind of getting worse because they think that they can kind of make a strategy, but they don't have the right prediction because still the market is not very clear what's going on. Like the buyer strategy, buyer's expectations. So it is very hard. That's why so many people are more cautious right now to place the larger orders. And we have so many friends now traveling to China. The main private label production is still dominated by Chinese manufacturers, and even they complain so much that they don't have enough orders. And last 2 3 years, we saw so many manufacturers, they moved out of China to go to countries like, I'm talking about not the buyers, but actual the factory owners in China. They start opening like the another plans like in Vietnam, Thailand, to avoid this, the tariff, additional 25% China tariff. But now even those companies regret big time because now they have additional plant that they cannot fulfill the order. So I think this is causing both seller and supplier side like some problem with the stability. So this is causing brands to make planning issues, like inventory management issues. And it's not anymore like, I think we all talking about this, and it's not anymore just to put your brand on a product and then ship it to Amazon, sell it. That is over, right? You have to do so many different. Amazon is also encouraging to become like a brand for the sellers. Like, they encourage outside traffic, they encourage other type of new advertisement changes. They encourage sellers to use the influencers. Basically, Amazon is also changing its business model. Absolutely, that's why they started this new program called like AWD, which is Amazon Warehouse Distribution. So you can store some of your not good selling product instead of like fulfillment centers. You are kind of storing them in a different location, and Amazon transfers it. And obviously, some people test it. It's not the best operation wise because there's so many legs between the fulfillment centers, AWD, or the inventory management systems are not 100% accurate. So a lot of sellers, they have this kind of problems, but Amazon is also trying to change their business model. And the other big brands, other big marketplaces are also coming into the market like more aggressively. We're talking about like Walmart. They become like very active in the events. They become like really active. But more importantly, other e-commerce sites like TikTok, they're talking about like setting up like a bigger marketplace for third-party sellers to be more flexible. So similar to Shopify. So I think there's going to be some change in the market. Obviously, like it's very hard for the end users to change their habit to buy on Amazon. And now, also like they changed the refund policy. So now not everything is like 100% free to return. So I think this is going to change so many different things because the Amazon fees have increased so much for the sellers. So people start looking into the new marketplaces or new solutions, like how they can reduce the cost. Shipping costs went down, absolutely. But then, the sourcing prices are higher. 3PLs are very expensive, especially in California area. So I think people save in one part, but then their costs still increase, I think, eventually.
What is the current going rate for like 3PLs? Like as for somebody who's never used one before out there, the basic fees are probably, per pallet storage per month, and then also like in and out fees, like there's checking in your shipment, and then and then maybe the fees to actually prepare the shipment and send it to Amazon. So what are the main fees now in 2023 that a seller needs to keep in mind if they're considering using a 3PL?
In California, you're looking at per pallet per month storage fee something between 30 to 40 US dollars.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
Yep.
one of the things actually increase like the pallet supply fee. Actually, buying the physical pallet 4048 40 inch times 48 inch pallet, we used to pay before COVID $5, $4, even $6 sometimes for grade B and C. Like the pallets are also have like a different quality, but regular size, like not overweight. We used to pay like $5 to $6, maximum $7. During the COVID, we start seeing the numbers like $20 to $25. So that rate stayed there. And square feet in California, you know that it's just really
Mhm.
expensive. The labor cost is very expensive. So this adds up. Not only storing but inbound and outbound. And so many times, Amazon is also, if you have even a full container. One of the issues that we see recently, Bradley, is that if you have a full container order to Amazon, Amazon generally don't allow you to send them to one fulfillment center. So it means that you need to have a prep center to bring the container in, unload it, palletize them, and ship to three different Amazon fulfillment centers. This cost is really high. So if now you want to deliver a full container from China to Amazon, if it is in the West Coast, you're looking at include everything, the custom clearance, the insurance, the ocean freight, and truck is around $4,000. We had a case that Amazon asked the seller to separate the three different locations. It cost them at the end like $10,000 to $12,000. So when they sellers, I think we were gonna do like a one maybe tip, for the sellers how to save money. They prefer they should be using a location close to where they want to ship them. We know when you create like a ship from when you create a shipping plan in your seller central account, they're asking you ship from address. I recommend sellers not to use their supplier location in China. If it is overweight, oversized, it's definitely giving you the East Coast. But if it is a regular product, it might give you more than one place. But people can contact us and get our location information in Los Angeles, and they can use their ship from address, our location in Los Angeles, and Amazon might give them a location nearby. So this could help them to save some money.
Now, that's actually caused a lot of issues I heard lately. The new send to Amazon flow that even LTL shipments, not even using the like UPS partner carrier, but even LTL shipments, you used to create it and it would all go to one location. Are you seeing that more, that since that new send to Amazon went live, that Amazon is making sellers send to multiple warehouses more now than they have in the past?
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the reason is also they see that the running the business in California is really getting expensive. So I think they want to like move more like a Midwest or like Texas area. However, the 40% of the entire United States import comes through Los Angeles port, so it will never change. The shipping to Los Angeles now costs like $1,600 versus New York is like 3,000. So you're looking at like 40% higher. So Amazon is changing that, yes. And one of the issues that we see is with the Amazon partner carriers, they have just so much to handle, so they miss so many times the pickup appointment. So if you book like I mean, UPS is really expensive. If you ship, what we realize is in our company, if you're shipping anything within California, 300 kilogram is the optimum kilogram that you should be using UPS. So if you have anything up to 300 kilogram, it's still okay to use the UPS, and the check-in process is much faster. If you have anything more than 300, 400 kilograms, if you have anything more than like two, three pallets, yes, LTL shipments are fast, cheaper. However, there are a couple of problems in here. Number one, the transit time. The transit time, by the time the carrier comes and picks it up from the 3PL until it delivers, it's not a direct truck. So it means that they collect the pallets from different location, they bring it to distribution center, and they ship it into Amazon. So there's no time frame that it's guaranteed. So we're already middle of the year, so lots of companies are actually planning their fourth quarter orders from China or domestic or from South America, Turkey, they already consider what to order from China. But also when the shipment comes in, it's very important to send products to Amazon in the right way so it can check in very fast. So, so many times when we do even the Freedom Ticket 3.0, when we record that, I explained in one of the episodes the international shipping process. So many people, whenever they request a price from China, they only ask what is the transit time between port to port. But so many people, they forget that there's a long process from the time we contact the supplier, get the shipping documents, until we pick up, until we load the container, it takes 7 to 10 days. The same story when the shipment arrives to the destination port, it takes 3 to 4 days to clear the custom at the destination, waiting the containers become available in the terminal. And Los Angeles port still has a problem. We sometimes cannot find an appointment to go and arrange the pickup. So a lot of people who are not in the industry, maybe they think that, what do you mean with making the appointment with the terminal? So you cannot just show up to it like a container terminal saying, hey, where's my container? It doesn't work out that way. You need to track every day the the status of the container. If it becomes available, then we need to make an appointment when we're going to go pick it up. So sometimes it takes 7 to 10 days until the container becomes available. By the time the container comes into our warehouse, we do the prep center, send it to Amazon. It takes another 15 days. So many people, they think that, oh, I have enough time. So one of the questions we always hear, when is the best time to book my shipment? We always talk about 2 weeks prior, 1 week prior at least, so they can save in that time that we are planning this international shipping better. So as I mentioned, we used to talk only about international shipping time because the main problem was like, oh, it take 2 to 3 months to goes from one port to another port. But now there are like more other elements coming in, such as the way the new way Amazon is shipping services like LTLs. You used to go one location, now you need to use the 3 different locations LTL. So this is like really hurting people's budgets, honestly.
All right, now speaking of budgets and shipping costs and things, like I know if somebody books with you, you got very upfront pricing, very transparent. I've used you for multiple, Project X, Project 5K shipments, but whether somebody's going to use Forsket or whether somebody's using, a shipping company they find from Alibaba or maybe their supplier is finding, let's talk some strategy here about how an Amazon seller can make sure they're not getting ripped off. So like, what are the questions they need to be asking? What are the red flags? Like I remember one time I showed you how there's this one company without even knowing the invoice price of the shipment was already giving quotes and things like that. Well, that's a red flag because how in the world could they give a door-to-door price when they don't even know what the invoice of the product is? But what are some red flags? What are some red flags people need to watch out for? What are the questions that sellers need to ask? What are some things that they need to kind of like make sure about to make sure that they're getting a good deal in shipping?
Honestly, we always talk about do not use your supplier's freight forwarder. The same way you will not use your freight forwarder to source product, right? Because it's not their core business. So they can help you maybe with that one day, but eventually when you face a problem with the quality problem or packaging problem, you're not going to go and complete your freight forwarder. You need to have the direct relationship with the supplier. So same thing. Whenever you have any issue with your shipping, maybe the product is damaged, so you need to have the direct communication with the freight forwarder. I think one of the things what we see is right now that is with U.S. custom. What is going on right now? I mean, if you're selling in U.S. marketplace, last 2-3 years, there is a huge volume coming from the Asia, and because because of the COVID, the restrictions, the map, we didn't. I mean, the U.S. custom didn't have maybe enough sources to have the regulate all this coming in shipments because the volume was almost double, right? So this year, in 2022 December, we received a new regulation from the custom border protection that every invoice needs to have the product picture and every invoice needs to have product material. This was not a requirement in the past. So this is exactly what you mentioned. If the freight forwarder doesn't know what's the product, what is the material made of, what is the HS code, how they can actually give you all in DDP price because they don't even know what's the tax rate. So the red flag is one of them. is I think you should be asking the freight forwarder if they're NVOCC licensed, which is like official uh, international freight forwarder license that they're responsible, in USA. When you work with a freight forwarder only based in China, if you have any problem in the custom, if you have any problem with like product loss damage, you will not have any authority to go and actually looking for your money. Right? This is number one. I think number two, so many freight forwarders, they're charging you insurance, but they never share the insurance policy. If you want to ship something, the insurance is cheap. You should add it like 20, 25, $30 sometimes. It's less than 1% of the cargo value. If they're asking you the insurance, ask for the insurance, yes, but collect your insurance policy. If there's something happens, then they will be like, oh, we forget to do the insurance, because insurance is something they can do backwards up to 30 days. So if something happens, you have to like deal with that. That's important. So I think the MVOCC license is one of the most important thing. Your insurance policy and upfront payments. You should be always negotiate with your freight forwarder that at least ask for the payment when the shipment arrives to the destination port. So many times we saw like cases that people come to us and say, "Hey, my freight forwarder wants to charge me the destination port charges because they said there's an extra fees, this and that. I paid upfront." So if you pay upfront, you don't have any power to negotiate because you already paid, let's say $2,000, then I ask you like another $300, $400. And also, I think like the social proof and then the reviews. There's so many like no-name companies that you should be careful about. There's one thing that also I always mention, like people's like private label products are like your baby, right? You probably day and night you work on your product with your supplier, you pay the deposit, you wait, you take the pictures, and then when it comes to finally after 2 3 months, when it comes to the shipping, you're like, okay, yeah, you can just ship my product. But I think that you should be like more careful because either you might delay your launch if product get damaged or get lost, or it's delayed, or you have to pay extra fees, or you might be running out of inventory in one of your best SKUs. So there are a couple of things that you should be careful about. And I think there are like more information now about training. What is the best way, how to ship from Alibaba. If you're a new seller, if you're a larger seller, now I think when it comes to shipping from China, it's more about like payment terms and then the right tracking. I think digitalization is getting important in the industry that manages supply chain.
Okay, now we've been talking some strategy, and you've given some tips about saving money when you have a shipment to try and set your origin address. What are some other strategies and tips? Whether it's about utilizing 3PLs, whether it's about shipping, whether it's about taxes, anything at all. What are some strategies, some more strategies that you can give sellers that will help them save money or potentially make money even?
Right. I mean, in ForceGet, we actually provide free international shipping audit. So if people send us their like previous shipments, we can give the code, we can match them if it is possible, or we can tell them how the freight forwarder can offer such price. I think one thing that people should be careful about the HS codes. HS code is one product. HS code is, if people don't know that, it is every single product has a special code that is globally registered in the customs. And one of our customer, we recently had this issue. They ordered doormats, and the HS code the factory uses in the export documents in China should be different than the one you use it for the import. So one of them has 25% tariff and the other has 7.5% the tariff. So imagine the amount of tax you will be paying if the shipment is worth of $50,000. It's almost like $8,000 to $9,000 different. So you can always ask your freight forwarder or supplier if there's an alternative HS code. Most of the time, suppliers don't really tell you the difference because they want to use the high HS code for them to get the tax refund in China. We talked about that in the last time, when we were in Las Vegas. But so whenever the Chinese manufacturer, they have a finished product, they can get the VAT back from the government in China. So they are using, so Chinese products also has domestic different tax values. So it could be 5%, 10%, 15%. They always use the higher tax to get the money back from government because they do export. But when you import a new country, that HS code can have a very high tax. So that's why whenever you collect, especially if you're shipping a full container, ask your freight forwarder, ask your supplier to look for an alternative HS code, so you can really save money on the duty and tax, and which can which can create a couple of different dollar difference in your landing cost. So I think this is the one thing that you should be focusing on, checking your HS codes to see if there's any alternative.
Nowadays, people are wanting more, I would think, to like maybe diversify where they get their products from. So what can you tell me? Let's say I'm selling in the USA. What is the difference of pricing about for if I my supplier is from China or if I'm shipping from India? Perhaps Vietnam is maybe number three, I think, more popular of what I hear about. Pakistan. What are the differences in pricing that you're seeing on freight from each of these locations? Is China the cheapest because of the volume that happens? Are the other places getting cheaper? Well, what's going on?
Actually, that's a very interesting question. I had this conversation, and one of the members was asking about they want to ship from India, but then when we calculate the shipping cost, it was not a full container; it was less than full container, and because China has so much bigger volume for the shipping versus India, the shipping cost is much cheaper actually from China. And because in China, like MUCC licensed freight forwarder like us, we can um, consolidate different cargo into one container so we can really lower the cost. In India, such service doesn't really exist, so that's why we need to ship each seller's cargo individually. So the extra charges adds up, such as origin fees and the destination port fees, the logistic fee. So when we did the calculation, even if they find the product a little bit cheaper, the freight went up almost 30 to 35%. So I'm not saying don't look into India. Of course, just do that, but make the freight calculation before you place the order. So in that case, the person already placed the order from India, alternative Chinese supplier. Then at the end, they ended up paying actually more for the landing cost. So planning is great, but same thing we see with the Mexico, because the truck fees from Mexico to US is not cheap at all. So that's why so many people they try to source from Mexico. They go look into these things. Yes, it's great. Maybe they can scalable. The supplier is also the size of the supplier. I think Bradley. Like I mean, sometimes you work with a supplier in China and you want to expand to Shopify. You want to expand to Walmart, or it's a great idea. You should be expanding to Amazon Canada, for example. You're not selling it yet. Or Amazon, it has great programs now to do the cross-border like globalization. They want you to go to different marketplaces. They make your life easy now. And if you want to expand to these markets, then you will maybe have like more volume. But you need to make sure. Look, where is your source? How are you gonna ship it? Do you have enough money? All these things are like really important. So before you go start sourcing, make the calculation of what's the freight cost, what is the HS code from that. So maybe you buy something from China, it has 25% tariff, like, but you go back to India, it has 0%. So even if you pay 20% more to your product plus the shipping, you still save like 5%. And I think it's a really good idea. And since China is opened, big sellers, elite members, they should go back to China, discuss with suppliers what happened, because China, like Chinese suppliers, they had very tough last 3 years. They had very strict COVID restrictions. They couldn't travel outside of China. They couldn't go to the trade shows. The people like buyers couldn't go to China. I think it's very important to rebuild a relationship. Even if you cannot travel to China, if you buy like $50,000, $100,000 per month, you should invite your supplier to come and visit you so you can sit down, renegotiate the prices, see what else you can add your production line. Amazon comes up with lots of different new features, like frequently added, frequently returned. So you can actually see what you can create with your supplier, and that can help your business, and ask for better trade terms, like better pricing. Not anymore like anyone's paying 30% down, 70%. You can easily get like 10 to 15% down payment, and you break that into like another 30 to 40% before shipment, and the remaining maybe 1 month after delivery or upon delivery. So you can get better terms. So I highly recommend, if you're selling like above like 50, $70,000 per month, or even buying that much, you should go to China and visit your suppliers. Just see what's going on in the market, and then try to add a couple of other suppliers in the market. Everybody is hungry right now for more business, actually.
Something I'm doing this year on the podcast is ask a lot of people their health habits. You know, like health is my theme for this year. And when I talk about health, it's not just physical health, but mental health too. So one thing that I always highlight is hobbies. You know, that's why at the beginning of all these podcast videos, I show my main hobby, which is traveling. You know, around the world. So first of all, what are your hobbies? You know, the things that you do to kind of like take yourself away from your day-to-day work and relax your mind. And then what are some of your physical health habits that you're also doing to keep healthy?
Like people like us who live in a very big time zone difference with our main office, China, like 12 hours, it's very hard to slow down. But that's something I also start to feel like, with the events, the Amazon events, you go travel a lot, you always stay in the hotels. I think the sleep is something really important, especially for men, men's health, men's mentality. I actually start to listen more TED Talks, like they are short, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. You can learn lots of different things. I love CrossFit. I'm very lucky. I live in Miami Beach. So lots of people, they think that I could work like 1 p.m., go to the pool, but it's not really happening. I generally have like 7 a.m., 7 p.m. thing, but I go workouts. I have a motorcycle. I get some air. I'm actually thinking to get a bicycle. I think I like doing outdoor stuff. It's very important. And man, we spend so much time with our phones and computers. I try to disconnect from my phone at least 30 minutes before I go to bed.
Mhm.
That gives me better. Maybe I go for a walk a little bit. I try to read a little bit more. I always had the excuse I travel too much. So, and more importantly, I start cooking. I like actually disconnect with a glass of wine or a beer after the workout. Do like meal prep. Only the downside is the dishes, but you know.
Yes, little bit less DoorDash, a little bit more home cooking is also, I think, very healthy there. Okay, interesting. Now, guys, if you want to get more info on the A to Z of shipping, all the terms and everything you need to know, Burak mentioned it, but check out week 6 in Freedom Ticket. So if you're a Helium 10 member, you guaranteed you have access to Freedom Ticket. Going to week 6, there's multiple modules in there where he goes everything from international shipping step by step and freight quote breakdowns and FBA packing requirements and this and that. Anything you need to know, it's right there in Freedom Ticket. He did most of the modules there, but maybe something that's not in Freedom Ticket or something that's new in the last couple months, or just something that you think that sellers need to be aware about. What is a strategy or a 60-second strategy or tip that you can give our sellers? You've given us a number of them already in this episode. Is there anything else you can do to educate us?
Um, the one thing comes to my mind that we don't really speak in supply chain on Amazon is the digital tracking. I think that's going to be the future because if you don't know when your shipment is going to check in, you cannot really manage your PPC budget. You cannot manage your coupons, deactivate, activate it. I think you should be find a way to have better visibility on international shipping. Not because we are the only company doing that in the industry, but I think it's really important because every time we go to the Amazon events, people talking about this inventory issues, or they place too much order, or they're short running, they have some products on the water, they don't know when it's going to come to Amazon, they stress out. Same thing, like when I wake up, my supplier or my office in China, they're sleeping, and by the time you brush off like small things from your table, when it comes to sit down and work 1 or 2 p.m., you cannot really do planning. I think planning is like the most important thing right now, the inventory management and managing your money good. I think having a good visibility on your inventory planning and supply chain is the key to success, because so many people are working on a thin margins right now this year because of all the price increases. I think that's the most important thing. I think managing your inventory, understanding, checking how much the keyword search volume increase or decrease compared to last year, and what should be this year's orders. I think that's very important to read in the data and connect the puzzles. So it's not anymore just keyword research. It's not only tracking the keyword performance, it's not only the cheap shipping, but I think it's time to like put everything together and could put in the right SOP for your business.
Now, if somebody wants to get more information from you, possibly reach out, for a quote for shipping or for warehousing or other services you provide, how can they find you on the interwebs out there?
It's forceget.com and sales at forceget.com. I normally used to, wear my Forceget t-shirt, but this time I changed to Sell and Scale.
I
So
love it.
yeah, so forceget.com, they can find us, and we have free consultancy, 15 to 30 minutes for each, Helium 10 members as well as the podcast listeners. We love them all, and we can do free audit. Especially you can send us the HS codes, and we can give you alternatives if there's any in the custom system.
Awesome, awesome. Well, look forward to seeing you at our Helium 10 Social and Elite workshop that we have coming up, and then of course at future events. It's been great to have you on here, and we'll be seeing you soon.